huge explosion rocks the British Petroleum oil refinery in Texas City. 170 people are injured. 15 are dead. The FBI rules out the possibility of a terrorist attack. It now falls to Don Holmstrom and his team from the Chemical Safety Board to find out what went wrong. Holmstrom knows the disaster can be traced to flammable liquid that spewed out of the blowdown stack. The stack is connected to the distillation tower, and Holmstrom suspects that's where the liquid came from. What he doesn't understand is how it could have reached the blowdown stack, let alone have filled it. During the distillation process, liquid in the tower should not exceed a level of 2 meters. Holmstrom knows that to escape, it must rise more than 46 meters above its correct level to the top of the tower. But there's a series of safeguards to prevent this happening. First, an outlet control valve automatically regulates the flow of liquid from the bottom of the tower. If it begins to overfill, the valve opens wider and the level goes down again. Second, a level indicator should provide operators in the control room with a constant update on how full the tower is. Attached to it is a high-level alarm, which should go off if the tower starts to overfill. Beyond that is a second backup alarm. The system should be foolproof. But if Holmstrom's suspicions are correct, these safeguards must all have failed. He needs to know what was going on in the tower before the blast. He begins by questioning eyewitnesses. He soon learns the distillation tower was being started up on the same day as the explosion. It's too big a coincidence to ignore. Although the startup is governed by strict safety guidelines, it's potentially a risky process. Could this be connected to the explosion? Holmstrom begins questioning the operators who worked on the startup and finds that his theory might be correct. He discovers a night shift operator broke the safety guidelines. Just after 3 a.m., an alarm went off in the control room, warning that the liquid level was slightly over 2.5 meters. But the operator switched it off and did nothing. He tells Holmstrom that overfilling the tower and ignoring the alarm is nothing unusual. When the feed starts circulating through the system, the level in the tower often falls. He claims overfilling the tower not only saved time, but avoided the inconvenience of having to top it up later. It's common practice. He left the level at about 4 meters, confident it would drop back towards 2 meters when the day shift operator started to circulate the feed. Holmstrom has uncovered a clear breach of safety procedures, which could be linked to the explosion. His first breakthrough. He discovers the indicator suffers from a fatal design flaw. It can only measure liquid up to a height of 3 meters, which shows as 100% on the operator's control panel. Anything beyond this doesn't register on the level indicator. Worse still, the indicator's design means that if the liquid were to pass 3 meters, it could even show a drop in level. Holmstrom realizes the operator's testimony does not prove the startup was safe. He suspects he's on the right track. But even allowing for these mistakes, there should be enough safeguards to prevent an explosion. A second alarm situated above the first should go off if the liquid level passes 2.5 meters. Yet nobody recalls hearing it. Holmstrom focuses on this backup alarm. He goes through BP's work orders and discovers another critical error. The alarm had been reported as damaged before the explosion, and there's no record of it being fixed. Holmstrom now knows that of the tower's 2 high-level alarms, One was deactivated, and the other never worked in the first place. He immediately examines data from the outlet control valve. As suspected, it's at the heart of the problem. On the morning of the blast, instead of being set to auto, it was left closed. The valve did not regulate the flow of liquid out of the tower, as it should have. At 9:52 a.m., the day shift operator started the feed. For 3 hours, he pumped liquid into the tower, failing to notice none was flowing out. During this time, his supervisor also failed to notice the imbalance in the flow. It's a potentially lethal situation. But Holmstrom still needs to determine how the liquid escaped from the top of the tower. He goes back to the hard drive and finds that shortly after 1 p.m., less than 20 minutes before the explosion, the tower's pressure relief valves were forced open. These valves are designed to control gas, not liquid. The computer confirms the liquid did reach the top of the tower and escape down the gas pipes. Once the valves were open, the path was clear for it to reach the blowdown stack. It would quickly have filled the 35-meter stack and spewed out the top. Holmstrom's hunch is correct. A catastrophic series of mistakes in the startup process did cause the disaster.